So this is our second national meeting here in Edinburgh. Just by way of introduction, here's the project team. And so most of us are here today. So I'm Jonathan Hays at Queen Mary University of London, and together with Sadaf over here, we're the project leads. And we have our co-leads, Joe's over there, Adrian is over there. Vasil unfortunately can't be with us today. We've got David. Rui is our community engagement. John unfortunately can't be with us today, and then we've got our team members. So we've got Jeremy and Kieran, who are our technical coordinators. Gemma, excellent. So that's the project team. The name of the project is it rolls off the tongue. National Federated Compute Services Network Plus, very memorable. What does that even mean? So I thought, well, obviously it's about federation. It's got federation in there, and it's about services and things like that. So I do what you always do. I type it into a search engine and see what comes up. So if you ask the Oxford English Dictionary what federation is, it gives you a very sort of canonical answer about, it's a country, or it's a group of clubs, or it's a verb meaning to federate, to come together to form a federation, none of which seem to quite apply to what we're doing. So in the spirit of a modern digital era, I asked ChatGPT, and it realized what I was talking about was actually a federated research network, which is something a bit more specific. And I thought this came reasonably close to what we're looking at. So a decentralized system that enables multiple institutions to come together and collaborate without surrendering all their autonomy or whatever. It's a federation, not a big top-down organization. And rather than moving everything to one place, it's about joining up and bringing things together in a collaborative way. So I think we'll go with that definition. We don't want to form a new country to do our computing and data. So the project objectives, I tried to summarize them in sort of 3 bullet points. The main thing that we have been commissioned to do is to produce a roadmap that will explain to UKRI with priorities, timelines, etc., how to make this a reality, how to put it together, what should be done. And that's the main output. But there are some other aspects of it. So they specifically highlighted data storage needs. So we need to fold that in there either as part of that or as a separate output. And importantly, the final one is to act as a network plus, which means bringing together communities and building that cross-disciplinary consensus about what these things should look like. Now, when I was writing these slides, I was desperately trying to find a nice graphic to put there. And so this is just, an icon that shows networking. So again, I turned to AI to see what it could come up with, and it wasn't great. And after sifting through, this was the best it could do. So this is a network plus across a map of the UK at night. And I'm not sure where it put the points. I think we're going to have to make a new offshore facility out in the Irish Sea. There might be an island there, but I didn't zoom in. But it's certainly gone non-traditional in where we're going to put the centres. So please don't interpret that as what we're thinking to propose. That's not what it's going to look like. So the key principles we were considering when starting the project, when we put the pitch in, really came down to these sort of five areas. So an idea of decentralization. It's not about building one new big central thing. Rather, it's about leveraging all the existing investments and pulling it together, but without surrendering the autonomy that those units need to be effective. All right, it's not coming in and taking everything over, rather joining up and collaborating. But to be successful, there needs to be interoperability. There has to be some benefit from doing this other than being able to arrange nice meetings and come together and have good conversations. Rather, our workloads, our data, we need interoperability there so that you leverage those investments to get more out of it. Security and privacy are obviously very, very important. And when you're joining things up, they become even more important. By joining things up, you increase the attack surface for cyber threats, but you can also turn that into a success by actually sharing intelligence and working together and learning from each other about best practice. You can actually leverage that larger organization to be more secure, not just more open to attack. And it needs to be scalable. You need to be able to work at different scales, but also to grow. If you're going to build something that can work in the future that is sustainable, there needs to be a pathway for it to grow and to adapt and to take on new ideas and new investments. So scalability is the other thing. So these were sort of 5 core principles we were thinking about when putting together the project. And then we thought, well, how do we organize it? And we organized it around these 3 pillars. And 3 pillars are community, technology, and policy. So the people, the tools to do the job, and then the set of rules about how we pull it all together to make sure it works. So in terms of community, our thoughts are that this is about building communities, introducing existing communities to each other so they can learn from each other and extract value from that, learn more, and engage with each other, engage with the different stakeholders. And this means building bridges, not just between researchers and other researchers, but also between the technical specialists who may be implementing some of the tools, between the providers who may be running the hardware, and all the layers that fit in that whole stack of operation, pulling it all together so that people are talking to each other. And one way of doing that is by identifying, for example, the user stories and the business cases around this. And you need to understand this to establish the case for federation. Why should you do it? There are people who work in this area who instantly recognize it as a value. There are others who are skeptical. And so if you're trying to build something by joining up, people need to understand what's in it for them and where's the benefit going to come from. And that means understanding the different use cases, the different business cases for participating. And also we find that when we're talking about it, because we've got different backgrounds, we use words that mean something to us, but mean something different to other people. And that even the word federation means something very different depending who you talk to. You've got to establish that way of communicating so everybody understands each other. And so a key part of that is making sure we all know what we're talking about and that we're all talking about the same thing so that we can interact cooperatively. Now, with the technology aspect, so this project is not to build the federation and at the end of it we have an operating federation. This is the step before that. This is about scoping it out, understanding the priorities and communicating those up to inform the next step, which will be to build a federation. So in terms of technology, there are plenty of technologies out there to fulfill this, but there are many of them and they all work differently. They don't necessarily interoperate. We need to understand that landscape. What is the state of the art? What are the existing practices? We should not be inventing something from scratch. We need to build on what's there. It's about sharing information between different domains. Some people have gone quite a way down a journey of federation, perhaps within their domain. There are lessons that have been learned there, both for technology, but also for policy. It's also about looking at those components and working out, actually, some of these might give us quick wins. Here's a place where we could start. There may not be the final tools or the final structures, but we can leverage that existing work. And then identifying what are the key things that need to be done first. We go to UKRI and say, actually, if you want to do this, these are the 3 things you have to do first, that kind of aspect. And then the final one is policy, and this is super important. And I think certainly in the circles I tend to have operated within as part of my research activities, it's often been overlooked. And that's a mistake. We're all technologically minded, and we think this bit, it'll just work, won't it? And so here we have to look at how would you govern it? How would you put it together? What are the set of rules that people should follow in order to be part of a federation? We had some workshops a couple of years ago, and the question was asked, how do you know you're in the federation? And the almost glib answer is because you've signed a bit of paper that says you are. Somebody's identified and said, you're a member, you're on a list. In order to sign that bit of paper, you agreed to, at a minimum, maybe a user policy or a whatever. All those things need to be there. And once you start digging into it, you realize once we've got different units that are funded in different ways, it costs work to do things. So you want to do it right, and you don't know each other. So how do you build the trust without the rules and the regulations by which you will operate? Over time, that trust will grow, but you've still got to have them there. So that's really, really important. So one of our plans is to really dig into that and try and come up with sort of an outline framework. And the other problem, of course, is that if you're building something together by combining things, a lot of this stuff already exists and it might not be compatible. So how do you come up with a way for one group who've gotten a very established set of policies to work with another and work around any incompatibilities? So that's that. So how this comes together is somewhere at the end of the journey, there's a roadmap. And somewhere in the middle, we're going to prepare it. But the interesting bit right now is this feedback loop here. So through our flexible fund projects, through workshops, we're hoping to engage with all of you to generate the evidence we need to be able to write a good roadmap that reflects the needs and requirements of all the different communities that are represented here. And hopefully that will lead into a strong roadmap that we can then put out to consultation and refine before handing it over. Now, I mentioned one of the ways we're doing that is the flexible funding. We funded 13 projects. Today you're going to see, and tomorrow you're going to see presentations from all of these projects, hopefully to showcase all the things that we're doing. We have a second call open now with a deadline 5th of October. And these projects have to finish by July next year. So it's quite a short period of time. And we're going to prioritize those areas that are not already covered. So if you're thinking of putting something together, do have a look at the booklets we've put around on our web pages to find out what's there and think about how it will align with what's already being done, because that will make it successful. So the clear things that we need from proposals that are coming in for that second call, you have to demonstrate your alignment with the program. What outputs of that piece of work are going to feed into the roadmap? That's the most critical thing. These are not meant to be research projects. They can have elements of research in there, but the ultimate objective of them is to generate the inputs to the roadmap. So if you've got an idea, do think about that. We're going to be here for the next couple of days. Do come up and talk to any of the lead team. We're happy to give you advice on how to put those together, or drop us an email. But I will say, if you drop me an email 2 minutes before midnight on the day of the deadline, I may not get back to you. So my final slide, the goals of this particular meeting, these 2 days. First and foremost, we're trying to build community and connections, bring people together to talk, to discuss and share ideas. To stimulate that discussion, we're showcasing our newly funded projects. You can see the amazing range of work that is going on out there, and it's very broad, it's very interesting. And of course, we want to continue to build awareness of the work that's going on. And so that's it from me. Thank you.